Hey everybody, welcome back to Fix the Rust Bucket. In this video, we're going to reinstall the soft top on the Mitsubishi Eclipse. And there is one step that we have to do to the soft top out of the car before we can actually install it into the car and start reinstalling it into the track. So let's get right into that. All right, so there's one step you got to do outside of the car before you can install this into the car and then start actually reinstalling it to the convertible top tracks on the car. And that is, down here on the bottom is that flap, which I keep calling it a rain gutter. I don't know if that's what it is, but it basically keeps the rainwater from getting into your car and runs out down the rear quarters. Below that rain flap is another piece of fabric, which is actually just the soft top itself, and then they stitched in this piece. That bottom flap piece has to get reattached to, if you remember in the video, I struggled for a while trying to figure out how this aluminum rail came out from right around the trunk area behind the back seat. That flap has to be stapled to that aluminum rail. Plus I have to remember to leave room for, there was those probably 6 to 8 inch fabric straps, one on either side of the car. They get stapled underneath of this hard plastic and the rail and the soft top. So I'm going to leave some room roughly of where I think they were. If we have a stapler or two inside there, it's not a big deal. We can pull it out, but leave that open so we can put the straps back in there, tighten them up, get that all reinstalled. But before we can even get to that point, I've got to attach the soft top to this part of the rail, then get it into the car. Now, before I get started with stapling this on there, whether this is right or wrong, and I'm sure somebody in the comments will let me know, this here is the center piece of the aluminum rail that goes around the car. I went and measured out this plastic piece here underneath of the fabric. I measured that out, got myself a mark there. On the new soft top itself, I went and the manufacturer, I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but if you can see in my finger, there's a slight V-groove cut into the fabric. And you can see these chalk marks here, plus the stitching where these two pieces come together. I wasn't sure if that was a center mark or not for them. The window is obviously got to be center of the soft top. And this right here, the marking on the glass, is center of the glass. It wasn't lining up. It didn't look like it was lining up too well. As you could see my lines, a couple of them coming down through here. I couldn't really tell, and I don't trust this cut right here. So I did the best I could. I measured basically the center of this. We measured using a square more or less. Got a square line across there and came down the center of that. And it puts me just a hair. It was about maybe 1/8 of an inch or just over 1/8 of an inch to the side of that V-groove cut in there. I don't think 1/8 of an inch is going to matter too much. So I mean, that's only 1/8 of an inch. I say only 1/8 of an inch. I think it's really going to be less than 1/8 of an inch, and I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. The top does have to line up to the sides, but there was a little bit of give and a little bit of play in that. So I think we'll be okay with that, or with that mark, and if we kind of go center of that mark, we'll be all right. All right, so with the aluminum rail just being held up with 2 jack stands, just holds it up. It's easier for me to staple it up here than it is to try and do it down there. We'll get the new top over top of it best we can. I did actually, just a second ago, I looked at these 2 plastic pieces on either end, and on the back side of them, there's actually some rub marks or wear marks, and then they kind of disappear, so it gives me a rough idea of where those straps were originally. Still, it's not a big deal if we put a staple too far in or not. We can pull it out, restaple it when we get it to the car. With that, the new soft top is on the back side here. Gotta be careful not to break the glass. This here on the old top, see if I can grab it, it's right here on the side. Let me show you here on the old top. Here's that rain gutter, I keep calling the rain gutter flap. Here's that piece of fabric, that's that rain gutter area. And then here's where you staple it actually to the aluminum rail. It's about 1 inch wide there. Now the new piece comes with, this is about 3 inches, maybe a little over 3 inches long. So we're just gonna go ahead and rough eyeball it up. The rail itself is really only about 1 inch long, so we'll go ahead and mark, just by feeling it out, we'll mark it and staple it within that 1 inch. This piece here, this fabric piece here, when we get to the car is where we're gonna put the spray glue onto it, the spray glue on the car, fold that over and attach it back to the body of the car. But before we get into stapling it, all right, so to make this easier, a electric or a power type staple gun would probably make it a lot easier to do that. Unfortunately, I do not have one. What I do have is the handy dandy old manual one. The important part is to get yourself the right size staples, and that is no smaller than a 3/8 inch staple. Also, don't use your normal home style type fabric staples. They're not going to work. They're too weak. They're going to bend. I fully expect the hand staple gun to not sink the staples all the way into this because it's like a hard plastic type material. So I'm going to have to staple it, hammer it, staple it, hammer it, but that's okay. We'll get through it and then we'll move on to getting it to the car. All right, so now I have the top in the car. My son came out real quick, gave me a hand. I wanted to be careful about getting the new top in the car. Obviously, I don't want to break the window or scratch or cut the new fabric. Be careful with the window and everything. There's a lot of sharp corners and sharp pieces of metal. I'll get you a close up here real quick. The seat belts for the rear seats, that is where I was concerned about breaking the window. So let me show you that real quick and we'll go over some other things. So right here you can see this is the support area across the car for the shoulder harness of the rear seat belts. That's a potential window breakage area. There's nothing underneath, really underneath here. The window's just kind of just tucked in on the bottom there. But this area right here is a big concern about breaking the window or getting snagged on with the new fabric. So that was what we were concerned about. I haven't covered it yet. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and install the U channel into the car. And if I do, and it doesn't really affect anything, we can go ahead and start just bringing the top up and over, and we should be okay. We'll see when we get to that point. So with that sitting the way it's sitting right now, it's good. I'm comfortable with the window not getting broken. You can't replace the windows, or at least from what I read, you can't just replace the windows in these tops. It would have to be a whole new top. Now, here's those straps I was talking about that I guess they support each channel or rail. This is where I was telling you that this piece of the strap has to go in between the aluminum rail, then that hard plastic piece where I put a staple in, had to pull it out. That hard plastic piece goes over top, and then your soft top material lays over top of that. I'm not going to be able to get you guys a shot of that, I don't think. I'll try, but that's kind of doing the work down inside here. We'll see what we can do. But right now, I'm going to get to bolting the U-channel back on, move on to the straps, and that will secure the back of this. All right, so there's one more thing I wanted to show you. I kept talking about it, and I can show you now before I get any farther into the installation, and that is the removal or pushing in and out. Plus I want to show you with the bolt hole what to do with the new top here. So again, like I said, tuck either side all the way into the window, the rear window door pocket area. Right now I have it tucked down into the driver's side window door pocket area. Take your top, the rail, get it back in this corner. The side you're working from, get it as far back in the corner as you can, and then grab the aluminum rail down here, push. You're not going to hurt it. I mean, if you push too hard, eventually you're going to fold it in half, but you don't need to push that hard. I'm using my thumbs, pulling it up. You pull it up past the track. It's not easy, but it works. Pull it up past the track and it comes out. I wanted to show you something right here where the bolt holes go in. All right, so now besides the million staples that I put in, here you can see this is where the strap and everything, we'll have to lift the top up, which I'll get to that. You have to lift the top up, slip that strap down underneath the top, and it comes out in between here and goes there. But we'll get to that point in a little bit. What I wanted to show you right now is, besides the million staples I put in, I pulled a million staples out of this thing. So I'm putting them back in the way I saw it. Also, right here, for the new soft top, the hole on the rail was right there. So I just went and took a utility knife and cut just an X mark, basically, opening up that hole for the bolt to go back through, coming into the quarter panel. As you can see, a bunch of staples here, a couple here. I could have probably thrown a few more in there, but I didn't. Same thing I did on the other side. Now, same thing when I pulled it apart. There was a bunch of staples in this area. I don't know what the reason is from the manufacturer, but I just mimicked what they did, and that should take care of any issues or making sure this stays on secure. Wanted to show you that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get that back in, bolt this on, and start working on getting that strap underneath the new top so we can move forward. All right, so I have the 2 bolts holding the rail on into the rear quarters. I have them in there pretty snug, but not tight. That way, in case I've got to move this bar, now remember, if you can see or not, but along the outer body part here, we have to spray the spray glue, fold this piece up and over, and attach it to there. Plus, get the top stretched up and over top of here. So I'm going to leave them loose for now. Before I go any farther from this point of the top over, like starting to attach to here, I will have to get inside there. Once I get, actually probably once I get to this first rail attached with the top, and I know that it's stretched correctly back here with the window, I can reach in and come in through the back seat area and snug up those bolts. So if you're doing this or you're watching this video to try and see how this is done, my suggestion is leave them loose. You can access them as long as the interior parts are not reinstalled. Once you get the top going up and go moving forward and you're pretty comfortable with the back end, then just go ahead and snug them down. And that rail, the rail kind of sits in its own spot anyway. There's no moving it up or down. It is up along the back side here, and when I pulled it out, I do remember it was up against the back, we'll call it the trunk area, but the package tray area, there's no package tray here, but the package tray area. It is up against where it should be, but just to be on the safe side, I'm not going to snug them down. That'll give me wiggle room to move forward with that. So with that, there's nothing else. There is something I'm gonna talk about here in a little bit, and that is the sides. Obviously, each manufacturer makes their tops slightly different than the original, or maybe I don't know if the top that was on there was a replacement either. So we'll get into that. That's part of up here after we get past that rail. So I'm gonna get back into pulling the top up, getting these straps secured in there. We'll tighten everything down and move forward. All right, so how many of you in the video saw this coming and was like, what are you doing? Because I didn't realize bolting that rail back into the quarter panels, I can't get to the back side of that U-channel or whatever, I just keep calling it U-channel. I can't get to that aluminum rail to attach this rail that's underneath the top. And the straps had to be attached to that back rail. I gotta take and unbolt the rail from the body of the car, work the straps first, get them stapled in place, then I can move forward to the point where I'm at now. So the issue I was having was stretch. The top is new, obviously, brand new, and the fabric's not stretched out, relaxed like it should be for the whole top. So what I had was, once I put in the screws, now I don't have the header panel that's supposed to go in here. I don't have the header panel on there yet. I just have these screws holding the soft top on right here. I do have to take them back off because they do screw through the plastic piece and into this top. And I got to put glue underneath of here. I haven't glued anything. I haven't glued up there. And I haven't done anything with the glue back here yet along this rail. Tip, do not glue anything until you make that almost the final step that you're going to do. So with that said, I'm going to move forward with, what do I have next to do here? The sides, which I got to show you the sides here. Underneath of here, we're just going to hook the inner layer on there. That'll probably be one of the last things I do, I think. The rubber seals along the sides and the tension cables. Then when that's all done, I'll go back and glue the front. The only two spots this had glue, besides these rails inside, which is already tacky, the only two spots I have to re-glue are going to be the front rail across here and this gutter trim piece, the glue on here and here, and then fold it over and stick it to the car itself. After that, I should be done with the top. So let me get back into attaching the other stuff. And I'm really not even sure. I think we're going to be working on here and a tension cable. All right, scratch that. Thing I wanted to show you, and I'm going to bring you up closer to show you what I'm talking about here. So right here, and I don't know what side this is. It could be, they're both the same. Both are the same side, or they both are identical to the same side. You have this hard plastic piece here, which as you can see is molded, and then it's sewn into the actual soft top itself. That molds to right over here on the Eclipse. Right underneath of here, there's screw holes, and it molds, the mold, I mean, fits right inside there and screws back into the metal bracket. This top here only came with a piece of plastic. You can see it's tight. It's getting tight. It only came with this piece of plastic, not molded, and then a piece of fabric. And I don't feel comfortable with just putting the screws through the fabric. The plastic only folds over the metal lip, and that's it. And then it's fabric where that molded piece goes. So what I plan on doing, and I'm going to try it, and we'll see how it works out. I'm going to unstitch this from the old top. That's why in the last video when I took this out, I said don't throw anything away. Keep everything in case you need it. That's like any project you're doing. Always hold on to all your stuff until you're done with the project. Make sure there's nothing else you need. There are a few buttons and stuff that we have to take off to put on later on. But anyway, back to this. I'm going to unstitch this from the old soft top. I can't stitch it back into that. I don't have a sewing machine to do that. But what I plan on doing is using the glue. I'm going to glue the fabric part to the back side of this and then screw it shut. If the glue is good enough for back here where the ring goes in, and if the glue is good enough for up front here where this super tight, like trampoline type soft top is, the glue should be strong enough once this is screwed on to hold on to it in there. That's my plan. We'll see how it goes. Again, if I come across a hiccup or I come across something that's just not working out right, I'll stop and explain it to you guys. All right, so it's the next day. It was getting pretty late last night, so I just stopped doing what I was doing, and we're going to wrap it up today, getting the soft top back on. I'm going to show you what I've done so far this morning and what we have to do. I wasn't really able to get a camera over on the driver's side. It's just there's no room, as you can see, of all my other projects. So let's go over what I've done already and what we have to do still. All right, so what I've done this morning, now if you hear that noise in the background, it's my charger on the battery. The car didn't want to start this morning. But what we've done already this morning is we've gotten the trim, which really wasn't too much, but it was just this trim piece and the metal bracket behind it installed here on the driver's side. That's all in. When you're doing this, make sure you tuck this piece of fabric. Each manufactured top is going to be a little bit different, but the gutter, or where the rainwater comes off the back of the top down through, this flap right here is part of that to divert the water into the, well, I guess there's no tube, it's just into the rear quarter here, which is surprising. I guess they got drain holes on the bottom. But anyway, make sure that flap is pulled out, stretched out correctly. And also here, it is behind the window seal. So when the rain comes down the window as well, runs down that flap into that gutter area and then out of the car. Over here on this side, I didn't remove the middle piece of trim. You don't have to do it on that side. I did, but you don't have to. This here, this track, again, we didn't remove the track, but the rubber seal, which is sitting right there waiting for us, had to remove the rubber seal to get the header panel across the front here taken off. I've taken this corner of the top on this side, and I did the passenger side as well. Screw that sets back into the header panel, holding the hard plastic and holding this there. I can't show you underneath it here, but the tensioner cables are both run down through and inside. They're underneath the disc, pop riveted back on. I believe actually I caught that doing the pop rivets on that one yesterday. But anyway, this piece here will get tucked down in and underneath of the header panel. And I think that's where we're at now. Also back here, I did the, I don't know if you can be able to see it, but you can kind of see it. The window protectant fabric or plastic in there, that's just hooked up to, with some plastic clips, it just hooks up across the back seat area, and then two tabs that push it in and hold it in there. So that's also installed. The glue is the last thing we're going to do on this. Don't glue anything, like I said before yesterday, don't glue anything until you've got this top ready to go, because if you glue it, you're going to have to peel it all back off, and that's a pain in the butt. As for stretching the top, it's seating good. I left it overnight, latched to the front windshield. When I took it off today and checked it again, it's landing perfect. So that is a win for now. But here's what we got going on the driver's side. We'll have to put this metal track back in, that rubber seal that goes over the track, the rubber seal here and the rubber seal here. And again, these rubber seals can't go in until after the header panel goes in, or I call it the header panel. I don't know what it's really called, but the top piece there. So we're going to go ahead and get started with these pieces here, and then we'll get to the top part. All right, so for this particular model, I guess maybe top, I'm sure they're all pretty close to or similar to this one. I did have to remove this track here off the rear where I just showed you. I had to remove the track because you have to remove the hard plastic piece that holds this corner of the top in there, and there's actually 4 more screws inside there holding that together. This has little, they're not really nuts, but they're like a little T-nut, and then 4 screws for it, and obviously the 4 holes through it. This is a little difficult to do, just so you don't drop the stuff down into the rear quarter pocket area. You might have to fish something out if you do, but basically I'll show you in a second here. Just fits on there. You stick the screw obviously through the outside of it, and then this nut, there's not much room for your hand in the back here with all of the gadgets and bars and arms and stuff for the soft top. You can just move it around back and forth, you'll find a spot. But anyway, get them rehooked up. This particular model, they'll sit in an upright position kind of as they go around the curve. Not like that, they'll sit more like that in the upright position. And I'll show you the outside, what it looks like. So there's, you know, the arms and bars and stuff for all of the soft top going up and down. But you have these 4 wide open gaping holes here, all the way down through here. On this particular car, when I just did the driver's side, I believe this middle one, it was either this middle one or this middle one. I don't remember. I think actually, yeah, it was this one here on the bottom. The third one down from the top. So if you're doing this on the Mitsubishi Eclipse, this car is a 2001. This one right here is really difficult to get in the back there and get that screw attached to it. What I found is once I get the track in there, I put the screw in there, just use a hand screwdriver and hold the screw in place, get that backside seated, and then you'll be able to attach it. Just take your time doing it. It will work. If they do fall down and you're lucky, they'll fall down into the floor pan area of the back seat, right up against the firewall, and you'll be good as gold. So let me get into reinstalling that. We'll go ahead and get all the rubber trim put on, except for this piece. That has to go on after the header piece. All right, so to reattach the cosmetic interior piece, this is just a channel. Let's get the end here. You can see kind of, my lighting is horrible right now. It's just a channel that snaps around these aluminum rails. There's 3 rails in here. And as you can see, this fabric from the new top just reattaches to this sticky glue area here. And then the plastic piece snaps on there. So that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch them down, attach them to the glue area, snap that back on, get those 3 pieces on. Okay, so there's really not a lot of room in here for the camera, myself, and all the other stuff. So I'm going to show you the first one. I'm going to take care of the last 2, and then we'll get to the outside. But basically, you could, I guess, respray this if you wanted to. I'm not going to. It's still really tacky. It was inside the car. So I've got this flap pulled down. I'm going to start in the center. Now, don't pull on it too hard because you don't want to cause any wrinkles or any more wrinkles, because this has some wrinkles. We'll get into that. But you don't want to cause any more wrinkles than you need to. It just needs to be snug, and this just keeps the top from flapping around while you're driving down the road with the wind. So just going to start in the middle, get it stuck onto the glue, work my way out to the sides, just pulling it slightly snug. I'm not pulling on the top itself and rolling the top, just pulling it down snug. So that side's done. Come over to the other side. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. And that's it. At least for this car, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure it's seated well to the glue, which it is. It's hanging on pretty. This glue is like super strong in here. It is seated on pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is this snap-on channel just comes up. I'll center it the best I can. I might readjust it later. Oh, and also, don't do this. That light's blinding. Don't do this with the top down, because the top, obviously, you know, it loosens up and moves around. Do it with the top fully closed and latched, and then attach these pieces. Don't do it with it lifted up in the air just because it's easier to stand there. It probably will put extra wrinkles or not set the top, the outside part of the top right. So, well, it doesn't snap because you're not hearing it snap, but pushed into place basically, and it locks around the rib of, there's a rib along either side of the aluminum rail. Now, there you heard it snap in there. Get this side pushed in. All right, so I've got the inside done, and I actually got the interior piece Velcro to the window. As you can see, it's a lot better to do it with 2 people. I got to move that over, but that's in. Now we've got to stretch, and now the explanation of all the ugliness on the car. We've got to glue this flap down to this part of the body all the way around the car. I'm going to use the same glue as I did up front, that 3M glue. Now this folds over fairly easy. They give you a ton of extra material. Folds over fairly easy. You really don't need that much. That's about an inch. Goes up to about 1.5 inches in some spots. But the sides fold over very easily, and the middle is folding over very easily. What I'm seeing here is this is not going to fold over easily. So there's a piece of, that if you saw the other video, a U-channel type molding that sits over this, plus then the trim of the car, which I have to paint still, so that won't be installed in this video. But that U-channel, I'm going to use between that and the glue. So glue both surfaces, spray it on here and there. I'm going to take and put some relief cuts in this and get it to fold over before I glue it, and then we'll spray it and glue it down. So that's next step and last step in this video. Everything goes right back to the way it's supposed to be, seated in its little cubby hole there while it's down. Okay, so there you go. New top's installed. I've got to get it outside, obviously. I'm going to hit it with some water and stuff. I'm confident it's watertight. I'm not worried about being watertight. I never said I was a professional in installing these things. I think it went fairly well. You can do this yourself at home with just hand tools, a few minor hand tools. It really didn't take anything special to do the soft top. It just took a lot of time figuring out how to get it apart and how to get it back together. With that said, do I ever want to do one again? If it's not on a classic car, probably not. No, I don't want to do one again. It's a lot of work. Credit to the professionals that do this every day. And speaking of professionals, now with these wrinkles on the soft top, here's that strap for the back. Now this is real glass. It's not that plastic. I didn't like the way the new one laid. Or excuse me, I didn't like the way the old one laid, and I don't like the way the new one laid. I think the real glass is just too heavy for this design. Now with that said, it's got the defrost in it, so that's a bonus. Okay, back to these wrinkles. So the wrinkles, I was trying to figure out how I'm going to get rid of all the wrinkles, and I was looking it up, and the professionals, they have a like really expensive steam machine that they use to shrink and move around the fabric of these soft tops. And the one person I actually was reading that was talking about doing soft tops, I was reading about it, said that if you don't have a steam machine or a steamer for it, he goes, you can use a regular clothes iron with a steam function on it and a wet rag. And he says just, you know, be careful not to sit in one spot too long with the iron, obviously, to melt the soft top or burn the soft top. I'm going to give that a shot. I'm not going to do that in this video. When I'm done with it, maybe we'll revisit this and I'll show you guys. But overall, it's not bad. If you plan on doing it yourself, I hope this video will help you do that. I'm assuming most soft tops operate pretty close to the same. You know, give or take a few brackets here and there. If you do plan on doing one, give yourself at least a full weekend, and if not, maybe 3 days to do it. All right, so with that said, I just got to put the windows back on. This car will be sealed up and weather tight. That way I can get it outside and it can sit outside. I can get the Firebird back in the garage here. I want to get started on the Firebird. I got to finish the chassis jig up, and then we're going to mount the car to it, as well as go over car front to back on what we got. Make a list of what we need. Like the front bumper, I was looking up not OEM, but I was looking up aftermarket parts, and the 72 Firebird, they make fiberglass ones, but they just don't look or fit the way that the original ones do. It's going to be hard. The car is pretty rusty. It's going to be hard to keep a lot of the original stuff on it, but what little bit of original stuff I can keep, I am going to keep on it. So as for the front bumper of that Firebird, I'm going to find the right material, and we're going to repair that front bumper along with as much as possible on that. The Bronco will be coming back in as well. We have some actual fab work to do on that because there's some repop metal parts that just aren't made anymore. I have to get some tools because I don't have that many tools to shape and bend and mold metal, but we're getting there. But I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be exciting, and those cars are coming up real soon here. The GXP bumper, that's just going to be on and off. We'll mess with that one. That one I got to get the filler material for that. It has to be a pliable filler material along with a pliable paint for that. Very expensive. So I promise anybody who's watching the GXP bumper, I promise I will get that bumper. It was in 2 pieces. Check out my older video. It was ripped into 2 pieces. I will get that back into 1 piece, and it will look the way it did originally on the car before it got hit. I hope this video helped on soft tops. Anybody looking to do it on their own, like I said, give yourselves a few days. If you have a garage or somewhere to put your car underneath, even better. All right, I want to thank you for watching. I hope this video helps out somebody that's trying to do their soft top, gives them a little bit of an idea of how much is involved in it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody.